You know, sometimes life brings you moments that feel quiet at first, soft, almost like a whisper, and then suddenly you realize that whisper is actually your heart trying to tell you something important. And today, standing here, I want to honor that feeling, that truth, because in this world, this wild, unpredictable, beautiful world, none of us are meant to walk alone. We're meant to grow, to heal, to dream together. So I want to start by saying this simply, honestly, I need you as a partner, not because I'm incomplete, not because I can't stand on my own, but because life becomes something profoundly more meaningful when shared with someone who sees you, understands you, and chooses you, not out of necessity, but out of love. And that's what I'm here to talk. Sometimes life feels like it's moving too fast, like the days slip by before we've really had the chance to breathe them in, to feel them, to understand what they're trying to show us. And in those moments, when the noise gets loud and the world spins a little too quickly, there is this quiet truth that rises inside the heart. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand anything. It simply exists, almost like a soft echo that you can feel more than you can hear. And that truth is what I want to speak from right now. Because when I say I need you as a partner, I'm not talking about filling a space or fixing an absence. I'm talking about recognizing something real, something profoundly human, the way love changes shape when it is shared, the way life deepens when there is another soul walking beside you. I need you as a partner because love, in its purest form, isn't loud. It's not fireworks or grand gestures or dramatic proclamations. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the kind of presence that makes you feel understood without needing to explain every piece of yourself. You've probably felt it too. That moment when someone looks at you and it feels like they're seeing more than what's on the surface. Like they're seeing the tired parts, the hopeful parts, the parts that have been bruised, and the parts that refuse to stop dreaming. And instead of pulling away, they lean in, they stay, they choose you, not out of obligation, not out of fear, but because something in their soul recognizes something in yours. That's what partnership means to me. It's not a transaction, it's not a role, it's an alignment. Two people standing in a world that is sometimes beautifully complicated, sometimes painfully unpredictable, sometimes more than anyone can handle alone. And when I think about needing you as a partner, it's not about dependence. It's about connection. It's about the way your existence amplifies mine. Not overshadows it, not replaces it, but expands it in ways I could never do alone. There's a certain magic in knowing you don't have to pretend, that you don't have to be perfect to be loved. When I imagine partnership with you, I imagine the kind of space where honesty feels safe, where vulnerability isn't something to be ashamed of, where the weight of the world feels lighter because there is someone willing to hold a corner of it with you. I imagine waking up to the knowledge that whatever happens, good, bad, confusing, overwhelming, you're not facing it alone. And that is something so rare, so precious, so deeply meaningful that it becomes almost sacred. You know what's interesting? People often talk about love as if it's this grand, fragile thing, something that needs to be chased or earned or proven. But love, real love, doesn't ask you to perform. It asks you to be present, to listen, to understand, to grow. Real love is not a story of two perfect people finding each other. It's the story of two imperfect people choosing to stay, choosing to try, choosing to believe in what they can build together. And when I say I need you as a partner, I'm saying I believe in what we can build. I believe in the strength that comes from our connection, the way we soften each other's edges, the way we bring out the parts that feel like home. I need you as a partner because when I look at you, I don't just see who you are. I see who you're becoming. I see someone who carries both tenderness and fire, someone who loves deeply, even if quietly, someone who has been shaped by life in ways both beautiful and heartbreaking, and yet still chooses to show up with an open heart. And that kind of courage is something I want to walk alongside. That kind of spirit is something I want to support, encourage, honor. Partnership to me is not about having the same thoughts or the same dreams. It's about respecting the beauty in each other's differences. It's about understanding that sometimes love means stepping forward and sometimes it means stepping back. Sometimes it means speaking and sometimes it means listening. Sometimes it means holding someone tightly and sometimes it means giving them the space they need to breathe. When I think of being your partner, I think of balance, I think of harmony, I think of the way two melodies can sound completely different on their own. but when they're played together, something new and breathtaking is created. And that's how I feel when I imagine you and me, not as two halves trying to complete each other, but as two wholes choosing to share the journey, choosing to walk the same road side by side, choosing to face whatever comes with open hands and open hearts. I don't need you to complete me. I need you because life is richer when shared. The quiet moments feel fuller, the joyful moments feel brighter, the heavy moments feel survivable, and the future feels less like an unknown and more like an invitation. There's this idea that love is supposed to be effortless. But the truth is, anything meaningful requires intention. It requires presence. It requires choosing each other again and again, even on the days when everything feels heavy or complicated or uncertain. And when I think about needing you as a partner, what I mean is that I choose you not once, not momentarily, but continually. I choose the way you think. I choose the way you feel. I choose your flaws and your strengths and your quiet moments and your loud ones. I choose the way you make the world feel less chaotic simply by being in it. And I want you to know that when I speak about needing you, it comes from a place of reverence, not desperation. It comes from recognizing that love isn't something you take, it's something you create, something you offer, something you nurture. I need you not because I am weak, but because I am strong enough to acknowledge that life shared with another soul becomes something rare and extraordinary, something worth working for, something worth protecting. There are moments at night or early in the morning when the world feels quiet and the mind becomes honest. In those moments, I find myself imagining the future, not one filled with perfect scenarios or flawless days, but one filled with real moments. Moments where we laugh so hard we forget what started it. Moments where we sit in comfortable silence because words aren't necessary. Moments where we disagree but stay kind. Moments where we support each other through the unexpected twists life always throws. Moments where partnership isn't a role but a rhythm, a flow, a dance between two souls learning each other over and over again. I think about how love isn't about ownership. It's not a cage, it's not a contract, it's a choice, a continuous, conscious, intentional choice. A partnership is built on freedom, the freedom to be yourself, the freedom to grow, the freedom to speak your truth without fear. And when I imagine walking through life with you, I imagine that kind of freedom. I imagine a connection where both of us become more ourselves, not less, where we don't shrink to fit each other's expectations, but expand to support each other's dreams. And maybe that's why this feeling inside me is so strong, because I don't just see the present, I see the path we could walk together, a path where every step is taken with awareness, with compassion, with a kind of gentle bravery that only love can inspire. I imagine standing beside you in moments of uncertainty, not to erase your fears, but to remind you that you don't face them alone. I imagine celebrating your victories, not because they belong to me, but because your joy becomes part of my world. I imagine carrying each other through the heavy days, not as burden, but as partners who understand that strength is something we can share. And through all of this, the thought that keeps returning to me is simple. Life becomes extraordinary when it is shared with someone who chooses you wholeheartedly, someone who sees your heart, not just your surface, someone who understands that love is not just a feeling, but a decision, a responsibility, a gift, someone who walks with you, not behind you or ahead of you, but beside you, matching your steps, matching your spirit, matching your intention. That's why I need you as a partner. Not because I fear being alone, not because I want to rely on someone else, but because I believe in the beauty of us, because I believe in the way our energy connects, because I believe in the possibility of something greater than either of us alone could ever build, because I believe that love becomes transformative when shared between two people who genuinely see each other. And when I imagine our partnership, I imagine a love that is patient, a love that listens, a love that forgives, a love that learns, a love that grows, a love that doesn't demand perfection but embraces the truth of who we are, a love that holds space for sadness, for joy, for hope, for healing, a love that becomes a home, not a place, not a destination, but a feeling that exists between two hearts. I need you as a partner because when you stand next to me, the world feels different, not easier, not simpler, but clearer, more meaningful, more honest. And that kind of clarity is rare. That kind of connection is something I don't want to walk away from. That kind of bond is something worth holding on to with both hands. A, and being completely honest, there is a part of me that feels braver when you're near. Not because you fix anything for me, but because your presence reminds me that I am not alone in my journey. When I think of partnership with you, I think of two hearts walking through life with the kind of loyalty that doesn't need to be announced, only lived. The kind of love that doesn't ask for grand gestures, only genuine presence. I need you as a partner because you inspire me to be better, not by expectation, but by example. You show me what kindness looks like. You show me what resilience feels like. You show me what it means to love without fear. And in your presence, I find parts of myself I didn't know were waiting to be awakened. And the truth is, partnership with you doesn't feel like an obligation. It feels like a natural unfolding, like something the universe quietly nudged into existence. I don't need to force it. I don't need to chase it. I don't need to question it. I simply need to honor it, to honor what we create when our hearts choose each other. So when I say I need you as a partner, I'm speaking from the deepest, quietest, most honest place within me. The place that knows that love, real love, is about choosing to walk together, to grow together, to rise together. The place that knows life becomes extraordinary when it's shared with someone who chooses you wholeheartedly. Partnership is not possession, it is presence, commitment, and growing side by side. These words may sound simple at first, but when you really think about them, they carry a depth that touches everything about how we connect with another human being. When I speak of partnership, I am not speaking of ownership. I am not speaking of having control or claiming another person as if they were a thing to be kept. That is not love. That is not partnership. Partnership is something entirely different. It is a quiet recognition, a mutual acknowledgement, a choice made again and again to be present for someone, to honor their journey, and to walk beside them without trying to rewrite their story or erase the contours that make them who they are. It is about showing up, not always perfectly, not always with a flawless script or an answer to every problem, but simply showing up fully with an open heart and an open mind. Being a partner means presence, true presence, the kind of presence that listens before speaking, that sees before judging, that feels before reacting. In the rush of life, in the whirlwind of responsibilities and expectations, it is easy to be physically near someone without really being present. You can sit across from someone and yet be miles away in thought, scrolling through your phone, thinking of the next thing you have to do, or worrying about the future. But presence is different. Presence is grounding yourself in the moment with someone else. It is noticing the way they move, the way they breathe, the way their eyes shift when they are nervous or joyful or contemplative. Presence is offering your full attention, not as a performance, but as a gift. And this presence is the foundation of partnership because without it, commitment loses its meaning and love loses its depth. Commitment is another pillar of partnership, but let us not confuse commitment with possession. Commitment does not mean restricting someone's freedom or demanding that they bend to your will. Commitment is an act of courage. It is the decision to stand by someone not only in the easy, radiant moments, but in the difficult, painful, confusing times when nothing feels clear and the world seems against you both. Commitment is not passive, it is active. It is a daily, conscious choice. It is saying, I see you, I honor you, I choose to walk with you, even when it is inconvenient, even when it is challenging, even when it might be easier to walk away. That is the kind of commitment that transforms ordinary love into extraordinary partnership. It is not about never feeling doubt or never experiencing fear. It is about feeling those things and choosing each other anyway, choosing to grow together despite the uncertainty that life inevitably brings. Growing side by side is perhaps the most profound aspect of partnership. Life is change, and change is inevitable. Every person carries within them experiences, scars, dreams, and aspirations. Each day, each year brings growth, sometimes gentle and gradual, sometimes sudden and disruptive. To grow side by side with someone is to accept that they are not static, that you are not static, and that your love and connection must evolve to accommodate the shifting landscape of your lives. This growth is not always easy. Sometimes it means compromise, sometimes it means sacrifice, sometimes it means patience when you would rather act impulsively, but the growth is what gives partnership its vitality. It is the reason why love feels alive, why connection feels meaningful, why life feels richer than it would if walked alone. Side-by-side growth is about pushing each other gently, encouraging each other's dreams, holding space for each other's fears, and celebrating each other's victories, no matter how small. It is about recognizing that two people together can become more than the sum of their parts. Partnership is a mirror. When we truly walk alongside someone, we begin to see ourselves reflected in ways we might not have noticed before. We see our strengths and our weaknesses. We see our habits, our patterns, our tendencies, and sometimes the parts of ourselves that we have hidden even from our own gaze. And a true partner does not use this knowledge to manipulate or criticize, but to support, to encourage, and to help each other become fuller versions of themselves. A partnership built on respect and love becomes a space for transformation. It becomes a safe place to grow, to heal, and to evolve. And the beauty of this is that as we help our partner grow, we too grow. Side by side, we learn, we adapt, we expand, and we deepen in ways that are impossible alone. The most extraordinary partnerships are not without conflict. They are not without mistakes. They are not without moments of fear, anger, or doubt. But in those moments, the true depth of partnership shows itself. Because when you are truly committed, when you are truly present, and when you are truly growing side by side, conflict is no longer a threat. It is an opportunity. It is an opportunity to understand each other more deeply, to communicate more clearly, and to forge a connection that can withstand the inevitable storms of life. Partnership is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about staying connected even when the waves rise high, even when the skies darken, even when everything within you screams that it would be easier to let go. That is the kind of courage that transforms love into something unshakable. Presence, commitment, and growth are intertwined. One cannot exist fully without the others. Presence without commitment is shallow. Commitment without presence is hollow. Growth without presence and commitment is fleeting. And together, they form a trinity that sustains partnership. They form the invisible architecture upon which two lives can stand together without fear of collapse. And when you embrace these principles, when you live them consciously, partnership ceases to be a concept and becomes a living, breathing reality. It becomes a force that shapes your days, your choices, your perspective, your understanding of love itself. There is also a profound beauty in the ordinary moments of partnership. It is easy to celebrate the dramatic milestones, the anniversaries, the trips, the celebrations, but partnership shines brightest in the small, unremarkable moments. The quiet breakfasts shared in silence, the gentle touch of a hand in the middle of a crowded street, the knowing glance across a room, the willingness to listen when no one else will. These are the threads that weave the fabric of real partnership. They are subtle, almost invisible, but they are what make the connection unbreakable. They are the proof that presence, commitment, and growth are not abstract ideals, but lived experiences that enrich every aspect of life. To grow side by side also means embracing the unknown together. Life is unpredictable, and the future is never guaranteed. Yet partnership gives courage to face the uncertainty with confidence. When you know that someone is walking with you, that someone is committed to sharing both the burdens and the joys of life, the unknown becomes less frightening. It becomes a shared adventure, a journey undertaken with intention, compassion, and love. It is in this shared journey that the deepest joys of partnership are found, not in certainty, but in the willingness to face whatever comes together. Partnership teaches patience, empathy, and resilience. It teaches us to listen more than we speak, to understand before we judge, and to give without expectation. It teaches us that love is not about possession or control, but about freedom and respect. It teaches us that two people walking side by side can create a world that is more compassionate, more forgiving, more alive than one person could ever create alone. And in this way, partnership becomes not just a relationship between two people, but a practice, a way of being in the world that radiates outward, touching others, shaping communities, inspiring growth wherever it reaches. Partnership is also a refuge. It is a place to rest, a place to heal, a place to recharge. Life can be demanding and exhausting, and having someone to walk beside you, to share the weight, to understand the challenges without judgment, is a rare and precious gift. This refuge is not a place of stagnation, it is a place of renewal. It is where the heart can find its rhythm, where the mind can find clarity, and where the soul can find comfort. It is a space where love is not conditional on perfection, but is constant in its support, unwavering in its presence, and enduring in its commitment. And perhaps most importantly, partnership teaches gratitude. Gratitude for the presence of another, gratitude for the shared journey, gratitude for the growth, the challenges, and the victories. It teaches that life is richer, deeper, and more meaningful when shared, that the simple act of choosing each other every day, of showing up fully, of growing together, is a gift beyond measure. It reminds us that love is not only about the grand gestures, but about the company. Insistent, gentle, persistent practice of being there, fully and wholly, for someone else. Partnership is a dance. It is not rigid, not prescribed, not limited. It flows, it adapts, it responds. It is a constant negotiation of space, needs, desires, and dreams. It is the art of moving in harmony, while still allowing individuality to shine. It is the practice of holding someone close while letting them soar. It is a rhythm that takes time to learn, patience to master, and humility to sustain. And yet, when two people commit to dancing this dance together, the result is breathtaking. The connection becomes a melody, a song, a narrative that neither could write alone, a testament to what is possible when love is practiced intentionally, consciously, and tenderly. I need you as a partner, not because I want to own you, not because I want to possess you, but because partnership, true partnership, is a living, breathing experience. It is about showing up, staying present, committing deeply, and growing together. It is about being mirrors for each other, reflecting strengths and weaknesses, dreams and fears, hopes and doubts, with honesty, compassion, and care. It is about building a life where love is measured not by what we take, but by what we give, by how we support, how we listen, how we honor, and how we grow. And when I imagine this kind of partnership with you, it feels like coming home,